in style. You can catch us on KXEX 1550 AM, Saturdays at 4, Sundays at 6. We talk politics, education, religion, technology, sports, values, and healthy communities, and just about anything you want to talk about. Also, you can catch Good News with Larry Powell. Nothing but good news stories Monday through Friday at 10 and at 4. And you want to be lifted up. That's one way to do it. You can catch us on Spotify, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. You got it right here at KXEX. And today I have with me one of my very special friends, Alan Autry. Alan, welcome aboard.
Man, it's great to be here, Larry. I'm just sitting here in amazement. Man, you could spit that out good.
You have to learn to do that when you're a middle school principal.
My gosh.
Because those kids listen fast.
Yes, I've heard you do some intros, but man, you've been doing this show for how long now?
Oh, it's been a year. So, yeah, I've been doing it a year.
You got the hang of it, man.
Got it down. Yeah.
And what a difficult challenge you face finding good news, civility in this crazy world we're living in.
Boy, isn't that the truth?
But it's there, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely. In fact, before we got together for the show today, I did 10 new good news vignettes. And I just love finding things that people can feel good about. At the end of the story, now that's good news, because people are hurting for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, hurting for that. Well, you and I have been friends for a long time. Do you remember when we first met? Can
you know, Larry, like most of my really good friends, there's like 3 candidates that I could label when we first met. But you know how that is. You just feel like you've known somebody your whole, unless there's something extraordinary, you know. Remember when we were there in the trenches in Ukraine when I first met you?
The bombs were flying.
The bombs were flying. You remember that? But I just seems like I've known you.
It was at Save Mart.
Yeah.
North First, near Knees.
Yes.
And
was that the first time?
That was the first time. And you were walking in your, not leisure suit, but your workout suit.
Leisure suits. Remember those?
I do remember.
I had a leisure suit.
We've all had those.
I had a lime green one. God, I thought it was
good. It's a good thing we don't have them anymore.
No, the collector's item. You go on eBay right now.
You can sell
Make a fortune on that thing. Just don't wear it anyway. But yes, absolutely.
You were walking down the aisle, and I on one side, and we were walking toward each other, and I yelled out, "Hey, Bubba!" I don't know. You get that all the time, don't you?
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
At all. I can't understand
why. Well, it's affectionate, for sure.
Well, if you've been blessed enough to be known
as
something, because when you look and you realize that 95% of the Screen Actors Guild make less than $5,000 a year.
Wow.
And but I'll tell you one time when God, I think, really spoke to me about it. You struggle as an actor, hand to mouth, struggling to pay rent, and then you go in and you get fortunate, lucky in an audition, and all of a sudden your life changed. That's what happened with me in The Heat of the Night.
I love it.
I could barely pay rent. Nobody knew me. I was known as the big guy that could take a good beating.
Oh, I love it.
So every star in Hollywood got a chance to beat me up. The Duke brothers from Dukes of Hazzard both had a chance to beat me up. But I was after the second year of Heat of the Night. We were really, really popular. We were like
big time.
2 or 3
Sparta
in the rankings. We were up there real high.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at the airport, LAX, ready to go back to Georgia. And I'm thinking, Bubba, do I really want to be known as
Bubba
my whole life? I mean, this is getting out of hand. This, that. And I'm an actor. I want to transcend.
Yes.
I want to be known. I don't want to be. About that time, I hear this commotion. Look over, and it's Rob Reiner.
Oh, yes.
And they're going, Meathead. Look, it's Meathead. And I went, Meathead Bubba. God, I get you. I'm thankful.
Bubba's better.
You could be known for a lot worse
as Meathead. I love it. That's really cool. But from that day, that was. When did you come back to Fresno? In the area.
Well, I lived back. I didn't do anything much. I just did a couple of TV movies during what they call the hiatus.
Right.
But I would come back to Fresno. Wanted to be a dad. I was away quite a bit. So back to Fresno, it was probably early 90s.
90s. That sounds about right.
Yeah. Early 90s. Yeah. But what I think it was, Larry, is that I heard so much about you prior to meeting you. It's like when I went, did Tulsa King. Come up on the set, and, there's Stallone. I'm walking up. We make eye contact. As I get close, he goes, "Hey, I know you."
Yeah.
I said, "No, yeah, you did that work." And come to find out, we'd never met each other, but we had so many mutual friends.
Sure.
Probably heard of each other.
Sure.
I'd heard about him a lot more than he heard about me, of course. But I think that's
cool.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, that was a start of what I consider one of my favorite friendships.
Well, likewise.
You and I have had the chance, and we'll talk about that a little more in the show, but we've had the chance to do kind of a two-man show at different times for different Christian groups and stuff, and just kind of sharing our hearts and encouraging people and doing a lot of that. But, one of the things I like to do on this show is I like people to get a sense of who somebody is that they might not know. Now, you're from Riverdale. That's Louisiana.
Spent from 5th grade on.
Okay.
Riverdale.
Yep.
Prior to that, we moved 6 times in 5 years.
Oh, boy.
My dad was a migrant farm laborer.
Yeah.
And by the way, migrant does not mean Hispanic. There's so many Hispanic farm laborers here now. People think that that's the same, but it's migrant, just for those who don't know, it just means you move
from one place to another.
And it used to be primarily people from Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, Okies, Arkies, Texans, and Hispanics, Mexicans that made up the migrant farm laborers.
Absolutely.
So they would follow the crops, and wherever that led you, you just loaded up the truck and head out.
Exactly.
And so, but then I settled in Riverdale. I think it was like 5th grade, and it was.
So you were born in Louisiana, though.
Shreveport, Louisiana, 1952.
Okay, 1952. Oh, you're young.
Oh yeah, right. I'll tell you, 90. You get as old. 90 doesn't seem old anymore.
No, that's for sure.
You look at the obituaries, and guy he dies at 94. You go, what happened? You get hit by a truck?
Yeah, really.
Only 94.
Yeah, wow.
But yeah, I used to say I was pushing 70. Now I'm dragging it.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, in fact, Monday I will be 75. So, but
I want some of what you're drinking. Are you kidding me? You got to go kiss your mama right on the lips there.
No doubt, boy. I'll tell you, we're very blessed.
Oh,
yeah, very blessed.
And you're still out shooting 75 and under.
Yeah, still play golf pretty well,
You're still out there doing it.
Alan, one of the best things that ever happened to me was polio. And an opportunity.
You don't hear that often, do you, folks?
An opportunity for God to use something that would have been for evil or wrong or bad, and it turned into something really great because I got to show thousands and thousands of kids and families that there's very little you can't overcome. And I tell people I don't run the 100-yard dash, but I can drive it, so who cares, So that's kind of where we are in that.
Well, that's, Larry, you have been such an inspiration on so many levels. And that's, we talk a lot on our shows about, not seeing color, being color blind.
Yeah.
People think, well, that's a form of racism if you don't see color. Some people like to think, I guess, the same thing with if you're so-called have a certain disability.
Sure.
I can honestly say here and many places that we get going and I don't see the effects of polio on you. You want to take time, step back, go, okay.
Yeah.
There's Larry walking.
Yeah.
And he's got his braces on.
Sure.
But in everyday life, I truly don't see it. And it's the same thing with race. You don't see your friends that are black or white or Hispanic or Asian or whatever. You just don't.
Content.
And that has to do, again, with the person of the color or the person that has the so-called special needs or disability, what have you.
Yep.
You don't act like it. People don't see it. You went around unless you draw attention to it.
No, exactly.
And then you disarm people. I've seen you do it so
I
many
can
times.
Thank Mom and Dad for that, because when I had polio at 15 months old, I ended up with a brace. And of course, 15 months old, I started walking at 6 months, which is really unusual. But Dad said to Mom, don't help him up. He's got to get up by himself, and he will. And within just days, I was going everywhere with this little brace that was about maybe 12, 13 inches, and that was it. But I was going everywhere. And it's one of the best things they ever did for me was to make sure that I didn't think I needed help to do things. And I remember in 7th grade, I came back from an appointment to get my brace fixed, and I told the secretary as I was getting an admit to get back to class, I said, I just got my brace fixed, and I need an admit to class. She said, I didn't know you wore braces, thinking they were teeth braces. She had seen me every day of my life at school, and she never saw the brace.
Yeah.
So I'm very blessed.
Yeah. And, as you get older, folks, you look at the things that some people may say was unfair or a bad break in life. And as you get older, you look at it and go, if, as Larry was saying, if this wouldn't have happened, this wouldn't have happened. Meaning the good stuff. So we're going to break?
Yeah, we're going to head to break.
We'll go to break. I'll finish that thought when we get back if I can remember it. But I will. I know I'll remember this one because it's a good one.
Hey, you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. And we're so glad you're with us. You're hearing Alan Autry today. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
Are we live on Facebook?
Yeah.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. Facebook, great folks. Appreciate you.
You'll pre-record for the radio?
Yeah.
No matter what comes, no matter what goes, if you're on a high, if you're in a low, if you get sick, if you feel well, if you get up, if you just fell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Something never changes.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. My special guest today is my good friend Alan Autry, and Alan, you were talking a little bit about handicaps and and difficulties that people face in life.
Yeah, and your story is just, to me, it's inspirational.
Yeah, thank you.
It's something that if you ever get a chance to hear Larry speak, not just about overcoming the polio, but just all aspects of life, faith, business, education. He's got insights on a lot. I think truly a Renaissance man in that regard. But as you get older, and you look back at your life,
yeah,
a lot of people can relate out there that are our age or a little bit younger or older, and you start saying, okay, I get it, why that so-called bad thing happened. I think the worst thing in my life, I thought at the time, was being cut by the Green Bay Packers. But it opened a door that and kept me to something I really love, the acting profession. Probably kept me from having a lot of knee injuries and stuff, not being able to walk around even at my age.
Yeah, exactly. Not wearing a brace.
Right. Exactly. Well, exactly. And you just go on and on, see these things that happen to you. But for so many people, that happens later in life.
Yep.
You figured that out very early on, and you'll be the first one to say it was your mom and dad.
Yep, and the Lord.
So my question for you, my brother, is as you see the special needs landscape out there today,
sure,
and you see people fighting for the extra help that the special needs kids need, which they do. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But are we missing that element of, hey, let them do all they can do. Let them, as metaphorically, get up on their own.
Yeah.
Don't teach them to expect somebody to help them up when they can get up on their own.
Yep.
Is that kind of missing a little bit from the landscape?
In a way it is. I think what you have to do is those who can get up on their own, you help them get up on their own. You provide an opportunity, a situation, a setting that they can actually do it themselves. Those that can't get up on their own, you help in a different way. And it's a much more intervening kind of thing that you do. But we've got so many great teachers who are doing wonderful things with special needs kids. In fact, Carmi Mullen, who is Debbie Hergenrader's mother, and Carmi was in the Ice Capades and just an amazing lady, lived to be 101. We did her funeral last week. Amazing lady. She demonstrated throughout her life what it was like because she had a Down syndrome child, and she gave Kathy, the Down syndrome child, a chance to be everything that she could be. Kathy became one of the first Special Olympians. Incredible story. And you know what's neat, Alan, is we all have these stories. I remember you talking about, I want to talk a little bit about your football days. just a little, but
well, it was a little career.
Well,
not much to talk about.
But you told me about how hard Lambeau Field is one time, so, but you started football. Did you play in high school and then go to college with UOP in football?
Yeah. The thing was, football was like number 3 on my favorite list. I loved baseball, pitcher, but I couldn't find the home plate.
That's the trouble.
The old saying was, Carlos Brown, he could throw the ball through the side of a barn door, but he may not hit it. And so I loved baseball, loved basketball.
Yeah.
And it was some really tough love and honesty that got me even into football. I didn't even go out for football my freshman year in high school.
Wow.
And I remember Coach
These other two were more important to you.
Yeah, I was going to be the only 6'2" white slow point guard to play at UCLA.
Yeah, I love it.
It was just
those were big days too.
Yeah.
But UCLA.
I just loved basketball, loved baseball. But I was out pitching, I think it was Babe Ruth, and Coach Jack Jordan, the football coach, came out. I saw him over there.
Yeah.
Kind of knew who he was. I had never talked to him. After the game, he pulled me over. He says, what are you going to do? Why don't you go out for football? I said, basketball. What do you want to do with basketball? I'm going to get a college scholarship. And it was from Boston, Massachusetts. And he had that accent. He said, man, he goes, you're not going to play college basketball. You might be lucky if you play junior college.
Yeah, I love it.
And that ticked me off.
Yeah, of course.
And he says, baseball, you're fast, but you're not fast enough. But you're 6'3", 220, and you got a strong arm. You could play quarterback, and you have a chance
I love it.
To reach your dreams.
It's hard for a coach to really tell the truth to a kid.
Yeah. Well, he needed a quarterback, too. That kind of quarterback was graduating.
And he needed a 6'2", 225 pounder.
And in Riverdale, you don't have that many kids.
No, you don't.
So he was going around all, recruiting.
Yes.
The basketball coaches are looking at him, here's Jordan, But back then, you played 3 sports. You could play as many sports as you wanted to.
Absolutely.
But anyway, long story short, I just got obsessed with it. I knew my only way to get a college education was to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
And because we couldn't have even afforded books to go to a JC.
Sure.
We came from very modest means, to say the least. So I went and got just totally obsessed with it and was fortunate enough to get a scholarship at the University of Pacific. Became a starting quarterback there. My sophomore year, I finished 10th in the nation passing. Junior year, I got my knee blown out when I decided to scramble with my blazing 5.2 speed in the 40 against Washington up in Seattle.
Yeah.
And then they came back, tried to pay the
linebackers are going faster.
No, absolutely. Exactly. Back then, they were going faster than me. And came back the next year. They changed the offense to a running offense with a running quarterback. So I wound up playing there, but it didn't start. Last year, I played tight end. But I'd go out and throw the ball during practice. And I remember there was a little blonde-haired guy over the sideline periodically would come out to practice and watch. And come draft day, I'm a second-string quarterback. I'm not going to get drafted. Well, in the 12th round, they came over from the office and said, "Hey, Coach Caddis would like to talk to you." And I went over there. He says, "Bart Starr is going to be calling here in 5 minutes. He's just been drafted by the Green Bay Packers."
Wow.
12th round. And I found out who that little blonde-haired guy was. He was a guy named Dick Corrick, who was a scout
for them.
And he said they saw my sophomore year.
Yeah.
They understood the situation and they liked the way I handled my character, the move to tight end.
That cool.
And then he would watch me throw. And they had traded most of their draft picks to L.A., so they didn't have anything in the draft. So they just took a flyer on me.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize they were drafted a future actor, not a future Hall of Famer.
I love it.
So that's the long story. I don't tell it often, as you can tell, because it's long.
But that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. It's just so fortunate, one of the life lessons there, I guess, the old adage, never give up. Try to keep your attitude right. Try to accept circumstances you can't change. And I'm not saying I was perfect at it, because I got into some stuff out of frustrations that I shouldn't have. But a lot of people helped me along the way.
Isn't that true for all of us?
Yeah. If I could go back to our other subject, because I want to give a shout out here to one person I know and one person that I don't know that I ran into the same day. And we're talking about the subject of special needs. I was in Vaughn's, and Jim Santos.
Oh, yeah.
Jim walks in, and Jim has his son with him.
Yes.
And Jim's son has special needs.
Absolutely.
But Jim Santos takes his son, and they go everywhere. Now, his son was having a verbal situation there where he was so excited to see me, and he was loud and that sort of thing. But everybody in there knew the situation.
Yep.
You didn't see anybody, at least I didn't, any perturbed
They're not grousing about it.
Out.
No.
And I was able to spend some time there with them.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a full load. Jim had to take him by his hands, and he just did it effortlessly. It was just I'm going to the store and I'm taking my son.
Yeah.
Then that night, I'm at Whole Foods. I see kind of a similar situation. A woman has obviously her relative or friend, I would assume son.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming. And he was having a verbal outburst of saying, help. And, you get your attention. But everybody in there looked over. Okay, after the first help, they went back to their shopping.
Yes.
And she's got her son out and with her son too. And I guess my point is, if you have a special needs child or friend, just take them someplace. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely.
What people are going to 90%, 95% of the people understand. You're not going to interrupt or bother them. And the other 5%, you just need to pray for them.
You don't care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You pray for them,
Yeah. Schools had what they called special ed land when I was a kid. And there was actually no special ed, but you were separated either in a far out classroom at the school or in an institution. Mom and Dad would have none of that. They said, Larry is going to participate just like anybody else. And so when it came to baseball, which I loved as well, and I could throw a ball a long ways and I could pitch like crazy, but I couldn't run.
But you were meant to be 6'4".
Yes, I have.
You should see the wingspan on this guy.
Way out here,
let's do it right now. I'm going to put my fist out there. You always show me. Yeah, look. Yeah, so those on radio can't see it. We got to extend like boxers.
Got about 3 or 4 inch reach.
3 or 4 inches. His fist hit my chin.
Yeah,
about 2 seconds before mine where it is. Yeah.
Well, but kids learn to adapt, and here's what would happen when it was my turn to hit. I would hit, but somebody would run for me.
Oh, beautiful!
And nobody said anything. The kids all just go, "Yeah, I'll run for you." And they fought to get a chance to run for me.
Could you hit?
Yeah, I could hit like crazy. Yeah, I think I batted over 660. But hand-eye coordination.
I know those baseball coaches. Didn't you get one come up going, now, wait a minute here.
Yeah, really.
I know the boy had a little trouble running there, but it ain't fire.
We got it covered. Not a chance. Not a chance.
Yeah.
I was blessed. And Mom and Dad just absolutely made sure that I understood I could be anything I wanted to be. I could participate in everything I wanted to participate in. I would make some adjustments, but I would be fine. And that gave me the courage, the inspiration to become who I am now. And I thank them so much. And I can't believe, Alan, we're done with our second segment already. Wow. We're going to jump out of this, folks. You're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. And I'm with my really good friend, Alan Autry. We'll be right back.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about your parents and how, gosh, what a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, they your mom and dad said, yeah, okay. You got polio in those legs, but you can still stand on them on your own.
Absolutely.
You got to stand on your own 2 legs.
Remember the old, I don't limp up here.
Yeah.
Only down here. And Mom and Dad did that for me. So, yeah, we're good to go. Facebook folks, thanks for being with us.
Love y'all.
If you're in a low, if you're getting sick, if you feel well, if you're getting up, if you just fell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Some things never change the same.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. And you know what? That's some things never change. What people often think is that some things are so bad they never change, but this is God's love and faithfulness never changes. And you and I have a little bit different stories of how we came to faith, which I think is really fascinating, how anybody out there listening can know that God has a plan for your life no matter where you are right now. And I came to faith as I can't remember not being a man or a person of faith. I was so blessed. My family raised me in church, and I've never left. I never, went out and had the crazy times. And I think that's probably as great a story as those who have had really tough lives and just then finally came to faith near the end of their lives. I think it's amazing that you would be in faith all your life.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great story. So, but it's good. But
it's beautiful.
When did you come to faith? What was the difference in your life?
I think it started, when we, when the first memories that I have, they say you can't remember, before you're like 4 years old.
Yeah.
That's what the experts say.
My wife can.
I know that to be wrong.
Yeah. I agree.
I'm with her. Because the first memory, I'm getting to your question.
Yeah.
But this is in my book, by the way, coming out soon.
I love it.
No, my first memory of life was being chased by a hen. I went up and petted her little chickens, and she reared up, come after me. I turned around.
They're brave,
and run
aren't they?
towards Mama.
Yeah.
And I saw Mama out on the porch, and she had those porches, those raised porches, south in Tulare.
Yes.
And she was leaning down to get me, and I'm running, and I'm feeling this hard thing in my diapers banging back and forth against my legs. It's a turd. I mean, it's going back and forth. I remember that. And then I looked to my left, and there's this rooster. And it just looked like a demon. Hell.
Here's you to bitch.
He joined the chase, and suddenly I had two hard things banging up against my legs, and I couldn't get to those arms fast enough.
Yeah.
Those arms took me inside, and I remember looking up, and we had a picture of Jesus.
Mm.
It was up on the wall back in what was our dining room.
Yeah.
And it was there all the time. I was curious because just looking at it made me feel good.
Sure.
It was right next to a ceramic parrot. I wish I had today, but my aunt stole it.
Oh,
Grandpa died.
Boy.
I wanted that parrot.
Yes.
Never thought that much about the Jesus picture, but Mama did.
Yeah.
And she took that picture of Jesus. So we moved 6 times in 5 years.
But the picture went with you every time.
The picture was up.
Yeah.
Now, we never joined a church because we weren't long enough in a community.
Yeah.
Really find a church. And then there was, so I was always with the presence that Mom lived that godly life, and we didn't pray before the meals, but she would talk periodically about Jesus, never in a lecture time. So that was always there. And then a fellow in 6th grade named Boyd Brooks, who found God early.
Yeah.
He's now, he became a minister in Argentina, and he's now in the Deep South. And he kept on me to go to church.
Wow.
I went with him. And, but there, the person next to me got the Holy Spirit, started talking in tongues. So it
got your attention.
It kind of spooked me. It didn't push me away, but I got spooked about church.
Yeah.
So we didn't go to church. I went through college and all of that. And then got into some bad things, started drinking, started doing other bad things. Flash forward to 34 years old. I'm on my knees outside. We won't fill in all the blanks. Don't chew up all your show here with the story. But I was on my knees, little town called Riverdale, about 20 miles outside of town here, and just thought I was dying, cried out to God in a way that I never had before. And was honest for the first time with God.
That's
totally
cool.
honest.
That's cool.
God, I don't know if you're there. I hope you're there. I please, but please let me know. And he spoke to my heart and told me who he was. At that moment, I realized he was real and that he loved me. And when I got up from there, I was a changed man.
Wow.
To this day.
That's amazing.
And that's when
And from that day forward, it's fun to see where God has led you,
Yeah, I'm going to have a little talk to him when I get up there.
Yeah, we all have our preferences.
I wasn't prepared for that, Lord. Why did you send me?
We have our own preferences, but, God's wisdom's a lot better than ours.
Oh, my goodness.
And, both of us have experienced that adversity is one of the things that teaches you lessons that God wants you to know. And when you go through tough times, you understand He's there, He's with you, going to help you get through. And you remember the story with Jesus on the boat and He's asleep and the disciples are going crazy. When He got on the boat, here's the first thing He said to the disciples: we're going to get on the boat and go to the other side. So they flunked the hearing test to start with.
Yeah.
they missed out on the hearing test. They didn't hear what he said.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. Yeah. So, oh, ye of little faith.
Yeah.
So, but amazing.
And if you translate that, they have the New International Version, King James, New King James.
Yeah.
Modern day, it would be, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
He would say,
give me a break.
Don't you know, I'm trying to catch a little bit of sleep here.
Just a bit.
Now, it said Jesus didn't sin.
Just ministered to 10,000.
Yes. Didn't say he didn't get frustrated.
No.
That's not a sin the last time I checked.
Absolutely.
And said was tempted.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm thinking, did he go a little Ralph Cramden? No, one of these days, Alice, pow, right in the kisser, Peter. Yeah, the great lessons there. And, I used to be baffled, and I hear a lot of folks, some people real close to me, struggle with this adversity being the pathway to enlightenment and why it should be that way.
Right.
A lot of these young people are adhering to the teachings of Friedrich Nietzsche, Carl Jung, although Jung wound up being a man of faith. They don't, this guy Nietzsche and Oppenheimer to a certain degree were just these dark people that say, you're weak if you're a Christian. You can be a superhuman.
Yep.
You do not have to buy in. You can create your utopia where you don't have any of these adversities. And if you do have them, you can develop superhuman qualities to overcome them. And that sounds good to people.
It does.
Instead of saying, well, I don't know why God said it that way.
Right.
Because they all want the answers from us. We said, all we know is that it works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at your own life.
Yep.
Some of the biggest lessons you learn is when you've gone through loss, adversity, pain, suffering.
Yep.
And when we get I'm always reminded of what Mother Teresa said. She was asked that same question. What are you going to do? She was asked, what are you going to do when you get to heaven? And what's the first thing you're going to do? She says, I'm going to go right up to God and say, God, you've got a lot of explaining to do. And this was people. But yes, you look back at it, like your story from polio, the adversity, to have you turn that in. I mean, you look up at the cross, turning just a horrible, horrible death, most agonizing death, and what looked like defeat, total defeat for
flipped it
people
on
of
its
faith,
head.
Became a symbol of victory.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't like the cross. This is just to me. I don't find it to the point I get really crazy with it. But the crosses, I have a cross here, but it's empty. Some of the crosses still have Jesus on there, and I get that.
Yeah.
But it's the empty cross is what it is. That's what we celebrate. He's there.
Not there anymore.
He ain't there anymore. And you may have to, he says, pick up your cross and follow me.
Yeah.
You pick up the cross and you'll be on there too.
Yeah.
The news is you're going to be off and you're going to be with him forever and never have to get on a cross.
The Jesus Revolution, which is going on right now.
Movie?
Haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot about it.
Let's go see it.
It's about the Jesus people. And Dot and I were with 5 rock bands and 200 young people who went to the Scandinavian countries for an entire summer in 1971. So during this whole time,
you were right in the middle.
Middle of it, and I preached and went in the sports Hollands with 20,000 people in Stockholm. I mean, it was an amazing time and things. But Andre Crouch,
crazy, wasn't it?
It was crazy
in the middle of all that reject God, free love, all the anti-Christian stuff that was out there. Raging war in Vietnam.
And here comes the Jesus people and a connection to the Lord. Andre Crouch, great singer, wrote a song, Where Would I Be If Jesus Didn't Love Me? And wow, how powerful that is when you think about it. Where would any of us be if Jesus hadn't gone to the cross? Because he could have said no. He could have said no.
That's a key thing.
Yeah. He said, I'm going, Father, because you want me to. Not because I want it.
Do you think that gets lost in some of the teaching? We know Jesus as our Lord and our Savior.
Yeah.
But Jesus' life as our human friend.
Yep. Fully human,
fully
God. So
we were talking with Jeremy, our producer here, about the human aspect of feeling empathy and pain for others.
Yep.
And the shortest verse in the Bible, yet God felt worthy of it to give it a whole verse, is Jesus wept.
Yeah, exactly.
And he took on those things.
He knows what we went through,
and I think that's a good thing because, as you said, he didn't have to get on that cross because the first Adam failed the test.
Yeah, exactly.
The devil got the first one.
Yeah, No doubt about it.
Isn't that where it comes by the first one that's supposed to be the savior and they populate the world? He failed.
Think about this. We would have lived in a utopia, a real utopia, a heaven on earth, and been in charge of everything. Dinosaurs would have said, hey, stop.
You ever think when you get to heaven, first thing you go, hey, where's Adam? I want to take him out behind the barn and have a little talk.
Give him a little kick.
What were you thinking, dude? You had everything.
Yeah, and don't blame your wife.
Don't blame your wife.
You know, anybody that blames women drivers, they were all taught by their fathers. So what's the deal here?
I haven't heard that one. I like that one.
So, one of the other things we're going to do here, folks, I can't believe our third segment's just about done. But, Alan, when we get back, I want to talk about your movies a little bit and some of the things you're doing now. But I also want to talk about family because you've got a son, Austin, that is now taking up after you and heading into the movie business.
Oh, God help him.
Things.
The acting business. But he's actually a good actor.
Well, that's going to be fun. But, folks, you're listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. So glad you're with us. Hit that share button and make sure folks know that you're listening to Alan Autry today with Larry Powell. We'll see you in just a bit.
You're listening to Powell to the People. Write it down.
Now, Larry, why are you going to increase the rate? You knew I was going there, didn't you?
Not my brother or my mother.
Oh, Mexican authorities complete the autopsies. You going to be able to believe that?
Yeah. Crazy.
Cause of death, natural causes.
If you're getting sick, if you're feeling well, if you're getting up, if you just fell, God's love and faithfulness will always be the same. Something never changed.
This is Powell to the People on the best talk in town.
Hey, welcome back to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. We're so glad you're with us. We're in our fourth segment today. I can't believe, Alan, how fast this time has gone. But Alan Autry is my special guest today. And Alan, you and I have had a special friendship for quite a number of years now. And I think the Lord is using our friendship to relate to a lot of men in our community and helping them understand that everybody goes through challenges. Nobody's got it straight down easy, downhill all the way, except there's a tree at the bottom. But you got to pray. You got to trust the Lord. You got to do a lot of things. But one of the things I wanted to talk to you about a little bit, family. So how's Kim doing?
Kim's doing good.
Good.
Kim's a strong lady. She's facing some challenges now.
Has a few health challenges,
but she's doing well. She's my hero. I tell her every day.
Yeah, it's cool. And then Austin, your son.
He's in New York. He finished a movie last year. They put it off to releasing until September of this year.
Okay.
And it's called Dark Harvest. And he's hammering away. He went back to school. He's going to finish up his degree. He's made a decision to do that. Got him a wonderful girlfriend.
Now, he was a quarterback at Columbus North.
A record-setting quarterback.
Yes.
He can actually play that position. He's so much better. He gets, when I say this, he goes, Dad, don't say that. But hey, I have a right to brag about it.
Absolutely.
He doesn't brag, but I can brag about it. But he was, and for his size, he was only like 5'11".
Oh, but he was quick.
He was
good decision maker.
Great, good decision maker.
Yeah.
And kind of taking that decision making, you learn a lot from football, from contact sports. I bet you learned a lot from wrestling.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Now, you played baseball.
Yep.
But when you got to grapple and go, it's kind of a metaphor for life. Life will hit you.
Oh, and it's one-on-one, and there's nobody else out there helping you.
Life will suplex you.
No doubt.
And put you in a rear naked shoal or knock you out of your cleats.
Yes.
And somehow you have to get back.
Decleated.
And how you get back is knowing you're a child of God and God's in control, and you can take that hit with Him with you and get back.
No doubt.
Have we used enough metaphors?
We've used a few.
A few. Yeah. We got a ton left, though.
Yeah,
folks.
we do. We do. We haven't even got to your country ones yet, But so tell me about your daughters.
Yeah, Lauren's doing great. We married, got a beautiful, great husband, 2 sons, a stepson, Isaiah and Joseph.
Neat.
He just turned a year old, and she's a businesswoman doing well. Yeah. And Heather is a life coach mentor. She's out at Selma High School.
Doing some really good work.
Doing some great work. I couldn't be more
with
proud
tough
of my
kids.
Tough kids.
Yeah.
They both all been through stuff, life storms.
Sure.
And come out of it strong women, loving women. And I'm just so proud of my 2 daughters and my son. And I know Kim, I speak for him as well. And
Yeah.
our grandkids, we got a grandkid, Caden, that's just, he's good. He's the actor of the bunch.
Is that right?
He's got a brain on him.
Yeah, I love it.
He's a pretty clever kid. But anyway, I'm really, really proud of him.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was going to ask you too, who in your life, when you were growing up, I know your mom had a tremendous influence on you. Was there anybody else that had, one of those seminal influences that only come along once in a lifetime for someone? Who would that person be for you?
It would be my stepdad.
Okay.
Joe Duty.
Joe Duty.
Who took me in because I didn't want to leave my grandfather.
Ah,
I'd have to put my grandfather that was my first hero.
okay.
He was a dirt farmer, one of the second wave of Okies that came over, Grapes of Wrath type stuff. And out in Tulare, we had 12 living in one bathroom, little house out in the middle of the field. Plowed the fields, worked the fields, picked the cotton, chopped the cotton, picked the fruit. That life. And he just a towering John Wayne figure to me.
Yeah.
And I was the first grandkid that came back home. Mom brought me back to Louisiana.
Yeah.
He knew my dad. He knew the Autry family, and he didn't like them. And he didn't care. So he took me in, and but then Joe Duty married my mother. He was a migrant farm laborer, and we moved, like I said, 6 times in 5 years. And I cannot remember the moment I went from hating him. I hated this guy that married my mom and taking me away from my grandpa, my aunts and uncles,
and everything you knew.
I'm in the back seat of that car, and I'm just I don't remember, Larry, going from just hating him to loving him so much.
Wow.
It just kind of happened.
It's pretty
over
neat,
time.
huh?
Really, really neat. He never raised his voice. I never heard my mom and dad argue about anything.
Wow.
He was still a binge alcoholic. About every 3 months, he wouldn't come home from the field. He would go to the Busy Bee or local bar. And it scared me to death. I remember just, is anything going to happen to him? I think that's probably when he first did that.
Right.
Because I realized how much I loved him. But he taught me a valuable lesson. He'd get up before dark. In fact, I got a picture of him I'll bring in one of these days. I took it of him for some reason, but I just look at this picture. And I've said success means many times doing what you least want to do when you least want to do it. And I see him there. He would have his coffee. He'd gather himself, put on his boots. I only saw him a couple of times. I was still sleeping. He was up and out. But just going to work, come home covered head to toe in dirt for minimum wage, never complaining.
Wow.
To support us. And I remember, whenever we went out with my friends, I'd ask him, can I borrow, $4? He goes, well, if you borrow, it means you're going to pay me back.
Yeah.
He says, can you pay me back? I go, no. He says, would you like me to give you?
I love it.
$4?
It's a good lesson in that.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, can you give me? He goes, yeah. I give $4. Says, and look up on top of the icebox there. I think there might be a couple more, and I'd reach up there. Did it every time. Sometimes you'd bring down a 2, every once in a while a 5.
Yeah.
But he just taught me just by his actions,
That's
not
cool.
by his words. He never said one of the biggest regrets, I never told him I loved him. He never told me he loved me. But we knew it was him. But he has to stand out of a whole list over my life of people that have made such an impact. And I'm staring at one right now behind the mic.
Thank you.
At times that have been heroes and role models for me.
Well, we've been very blessed in our lives, haven't we? One of the interesting things, too, is that you're doing some special work, not only in the movies, which I want to talk about here real quick because we're going to run out of time, but you're doing some counseling, and you've been doing this for a long time with some of the most difficult to reach kids, but kids that need a positive influence in their lives, high schoolers in particular. And you're taking not just tough kids, but the toughest of the toughest, and trying to help them turn life around. And isn't it amazing when the families and the kids get it and realize what you're doing, what you're trying to help them become, and all of those kinds of things? It's a kick in the heart in a special way that can't come any other way. But you're doing some stuff right now with Selma High School, but you've worked in 8, 9, 10 districts throughout the Valley area and have done some amazing work.
Yeah, I think one of the basic desires that all of us have is to have others care for you. Do you really care what's happening to me? Do you see me what's happening to me?
Yeah.
And not feel like you're alone.
No, exactly.
They did a recent survey, and today, 2023, loneliness is one of the, we're we seem to be connected all over Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
Loneliness is at its highest level.
Amazing.
And we find that when you can get through to those kids on that level of whether it be anxiety, which you can help them control, fear, which is related to anxiety, loneliness. We have a belief, at least in our mentoring organization, Legacy Education, is that a better person, a healthier person, better health makes a better student.
Absolutely.
And if you can get those things first, and focus on virtues and your word meaning something that you care,
their energy gets redirected.
Yes,
that's what happens.
And they believe, and
focus.
Exactly. It all starts with they have to believe that you care. You'll say they have to believe before they have to care that you think you care before they care what you're saying.
Absolutely.
And then they're watching, and we found that it's been very successful. Yes, but you passed the test.
Yeah,
miracles.
You have to hang in
person.
There.
Yes,
yeah.
One person giving me some tough love, and I know it was coming because he wanted to win football games. But he told me the truth.
Yeah.
And when you tell these kids, look, I love you. I'll always love you. I care about you. And 10 years from now, the way you're going right now, I'm going to, there's two ways you can go. 10 years, I can visit you at your job site with your family and have a great conversation. We go out to dinner, or I can visit you in prison.
One of those 90% in prison.
In prison. I said, that's the fork in the road you're facing.
Yeah.
And I think, that ton of tough love, if we try to deliver that in an effective way.
Absolutely.
And
it's really cool what you're doing.
And I tell you, I got to give a shout out to, though, and we both know this organization very well. Learn for Life has, that organization has been doing tremendous things with the so-called at-risk kids for years now.
A long time.
And you think of a world without God and without Jesus. Well, educationally, you think here locally, and they're all over the country, but a lot of them here in California.
Yeah.
What the education scene would be without Learn for Life.
Oh, I agree.
You do a lot of work for them, and we proudly do so. I'm on the team as well for Learn for Life.
One of their schools is right below us here.
Right below us here, the Crescent View Charter School.
Yeah.
Them, Sierra Charter School, doing some great work. But it took, one guy who was of means, took a meeting.
Stepping up.
See me. And he built a righteous empire on helping kids. Empire meaning not made of necessarily resources of money, but of people dedicated to helping these at-risk kids.
Yeah, huge.
And anyway, I get little chills every time I think about what they're doing and how successful they've been over the years.
It's amazing, and we're blessed, to have people like that in our lives, in our community, and what a difference it's made. I can't believe, Alan, this is an hour's gone. An hour in radio time is about 48 minutes, but
well, for us, you got other people out there. When are they going to stop?
Yeah, that's right. They're asking, aren't they? We need to do this again.
Anytime,
and get a chance to chat, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. You've been listening to Powell to the People, where civility is always in style. My special guest today was Alan Autry. Be sure you hit that share button and let other people hear about the good things this man's doing. We'll see you next week. Take care.